Welcome to this third video in the introductory series from the Retirement Mentor. Why you're afraid to spend your own money. If you've watched the first two videos, you're already starting to tackle the two biggest shifts of retirement, the identity side and giving your week some structure. There's a third problem, and I think it might be the hardest one of all, because it's the one men are most reluctant to talk about. You spent 40 years saving for this. Pension, savings, maybe an ISA or two. You've done it properly, you've been careful, and now you're here, you're retired, and the money's sitting there, and you're terrified to touch it. Every time you think about taking something out, your stomach knots up. You check the bank balance more often than you'd care to admit. You say no to things you can actually afford, because you don't really know whether you can afford them. If any of that sounds familiar, stay with me, because in this video I'm going to show you why this happens and why it's not really a money problem and the simple shift that takes most of the fear out of it. Let's think about the feeling. Let me describe what this looks like in real life, because a lot of men think they're the only ones feeling it. You go out for a meal with your wife. Lovely evening, nothing extravagant, a main course, glass of wine, maybe a pudding if you're in the mood. The bill comes in, and it's 70 quid, and you pay it. And then on the drive home, you're a bit quiet, because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, was that all right? Can we really afford that? Or you're looking at a weekend away, somewhere you'd genuinely enjoy, but it's £300. You've got the money already sitting there, but you find reasons not to book it. The weather might be a bit iffy. You could go later in the year, maybe next month. And maybe the clearest sign of all, you check your bank balance, not once a week, not once a day, sometimes several times a day. Not because anything's changed, but because you need to keep looking at the number to feel all right. I know this feeling too. I remember the first few months after I retired, every time I used my card for anything more than the weekly shop, there was this little voice asking whether I should have done. And I was an accountant. I knew the numbers. I knew we were fine. It didn't matter. The knot was there anyway. And here's what makes it worse. You're supposed to be enjoying retirement. This is the bit you worked 40 years for. But instead of enjoying it, you're watching every pound go out like you're bleeding slightly. That's not retirement. That's just worry in a nicer setting. So let's have a think about why it's different now. So why does this happen? Why do perfectly sensible men who manage their money perfectly well for decades, suddenly find themselves frozen when it comes to spending it? It's not a maths problem, it's a psychological problem, and it's one of the biggest reversals your brain has ever had to deal with. Think about it. For 40 years, money worked one way. It came in every month. You spent some of it, you saved some of it, and the next month it came in again. Even when there were tight periods, you always knew the next payday was just around the corner. Money flowed in, and that was the rhythm of your adult life. Then retirement starts, and the rhythm reverses. Now the money's already there, all of it, sitting in pots and accounts and pensions, and whatever you spend, you're spending from a fixed pile. There's no payday coming to top it back up. Every pound you take out makes the number smaller. And that feels completely different to spending when you knew another paycheck was 4 weeks away. Your brain has 40 years of training that says earning equals safety. Now you're being asked to spend without earning, and the brain doesn't know what to do with that. So it treats every withdrawal like a small threat, like you're chipping away at the wall that's keeping you safe. That's not a character flaw, that's a normal, completely predictable response to a psychological shift nobody warned you was coming. So, this is something called a one-pot trap, and that's something I'd like to explain to you. Now, this is what makes the fear so much worse than it needs to be, and it's something I see quite regularly. You look at your money as one big number, all of it, the pension, the savings, the ISA, maybe a bit in the current account, it all adds up to one total. And that's the number you're watching. That's the number that goes up or down when you spend. And here's the problem with that. When all your money lives in one number, every pound you spend feels identical. You can't tell the difference between paying the gas bill, which you have to do, and spending on a weekend away, which is a choice. They both reduce the same number by the same amount, so your brain treats them the same. Both feel like losses. Both feel like you're making yourself smaller. And because you can't distinguish between money you've committed to spend, money that's genuinely yours to enjoy, and money that you're keeping back for emergencies, you end up paralysed. You don't know what's safe to spend because it all looks the same. So you spend nothing, or you spend a tiny bit, and feel guilty about it. Either way, you're not really living on this money that you worked so hard to save. This is what I call the one-pot trap, and pretty much everyone gets stuck with this in the beginning. So here's the shift that changes everything, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. You stop looking at your money as one big number, and you start separating it by purpose. Because here's the truth, not all of your money has the same job. Some of it is already committed. It's going out on bills and essentials whether you like it or not. Some of it is genuinely yours to enjoy, to spend on the things that make retirement worth having. And some of it is sitting there as a safety net for emergencies or bigger things down the road. 3 completely different jobs. 3 completely different feelings when you spend from them. So the first thing to address this is to split your spending into 3 pots. The first pot is your committed costs, the bills, the council tax, the food shop, the essentials. This money isn't really a choice, it's already spoken for. Once you see it sitting in its own pot, you stop feeling anxious about paying the gas bill because that's what the money was for. It was never yours to enjoy in the first place, it was always the gas company's, eventually. The second pot is yours to enjoy, genuinely yours. This is the money you can spend on a meal out, a weekend away, a new set of golf clubs, whatever it is that matters to you, without any guilt. Because it's been set aside exactly for that. When you spend from this pot, you're not chipping away at your safety. You're doing what the pot was designed for. And the third pot is your safety net, your reserve, the money that was there for the things that you can't predict. A car that packs up, a roof that leaks, a big unexpected cost. You know it's there. You're not touching it for day-to-day spending. And because you know it's there, you don't need to treat every other pound as though it might be the safety net. And if some of the reserve pot is needed due to an unexpected bill, you can gradually top it back up without hitting the second pot too hard. 3 pots, 3 jobs, and once they're separated, something remarkable happens. You stop being afraid of spending because you finally know what's safe to spend. You can pay the bills without flinching because they come from the pot that was designed for them. You can book the weekend away without guilt because it comes from the pot that exists exactly for that. And you can sleep at night because the safety net is a separate thing, not something you're nibbling away at every time you buy a cup of coffee. That's what separating by purpose does. It takes one big fear and turns it into 3 clear pots, each with a clear job. And once you've got that clarity, the knot in your stomach starts to loosen. So let's look at the first step that you can take. This is what I'd like you to do. Don't set up all 3 pots yet. That's a bigger piece of work that we do properly inside the retirement mentor community. But you can take the single most useful step today, and it'll give you a clearer picture, probably better than you've had in years. Grab a piece of paper and make 2 columns. In the first column, write down your essential monthly costs. Not everything, just the genuine non-negotiables: mortgage or rent, utilities, council tax, insurance, food, fuel, and phone bills. The things that will happen whether you want them to or not, and add them all up. In the second column, write down your guaranteed monthly income, your state pension, any workplace or private pension that's already in payment, and any other income you can absolutely rely on, and add that up too. Now compare the 2 numbers, because right there, in those 2 numbers, you've got the foundation of everything. If your guaranteed income covers your essentials, you're in a much stronger position than you probably feel. Your day-to-day life doesn't actually depend on you touching your savings at all. And that means the savings pot's real job is to fund the enjoyment and the safety, not to keep the lights on. If, on the other hand, your guaranteed income doesn't quite cover your essentials, you know exactly what you're dealing with. It's not a vague fear anymore, it's a specific gap. And once you have a specific gap that you know about, you can plan around it. Either way, you've just replaced a vague knot in your stomach with two real numbers. That's the first step out of the one pot trap, and the beginning of feeling confident with your own money again. So those are the three shifts: knowing who you are now that the job is gone, giving your week shape without recreating the job you left, and feeling confident with your own money instead of frightened of it. These three things are the foundation of a retirement that actually works. Many men never get past any of them because nobody told them these were the real challenges and nobody gave them a way through. If these three videos have been helpful, there are two things you can do next. The first is completely free. Come and join us inside the Retirement Mentor community. It's a group of men doing exactly what you're doing, working through these same shifts, sharing what's worked, asking the questions that most of us are too proud to ask anywhere else. There's no cost to join, and there's a link in the description below. The second is for when you're ready to go further and build the full system properly. Inside the Retirement Mentor, I built a complete program around these three shifts. We go much deeper on the identity work. We build the structure your week actually needs. And we set up the full three-pot system properly with the numbers, the reviews, and the confidence that comes from knowing your money is working the way it should. This builds on what I've covered here, and you can find out more at www.theretirementmentor.net. But whatever you do, don't leave these three things sitting. Some men do and drift for years with the identity question, the empty days, and the money fear, and they never deal with any of them properly. You don't have to be one of them. If this video was useful to you, hit subscribe and do me one last favour. Send these three videos to any man you know who's retired or about to be. They may be sitting on all three of these problems and not know that there's a way through them. I'm Roger from the Retirement Mentor. Thanks for watching, and I would love to see you in the community.